All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the channel here. Jesse talks all things TDCJ and military. I'm your host, as always, Jesse. And today, by the way, everyone, happy Saturday. Today, we're going to do another little Q&A. And for an extra little tidbit of fun, I'm actually going to apply TDCJ Corrections Officer. That's right. I'm going to show you how easy it is to go through the process. Doesn't take long. But without further ado, I'm going to be referring to some of my notes here. Let's get into some questions, okay? It's kind of funny. One of the big questions I really get asked is, which academy did I go to? I went to the Huntsville Academy, okay? I was offered the Huntsville Academy and the one in Rocheron, Texas. I'm not sure where that is, but I know it's just as easy as a Google search. But I went through the Huntsville Academy. I started the very first week of May. I graduated the second week of June. Okay, it was only 5 weeks. Nothing really to it. How long and are you paid? I get a lot of people who ask, do you get paid while you're in training? The answer to that is yes. The very first day that you go to the academy, if your report date, what's today? October 15th, I think it is. If your report date is, today's Saturday, 16th. If your report date is October the 17th, that is the day that you start getting paid. Corrections officers in the state of Texas get paid once a month. You will receive your first paycheck while you're still in the academy, okay? I don't remember the exact day that I started. Let's say it was May the 4th, 30 days after that. On June 3rd, I received my first paycheck, okay? It comes in direct deposit, and there you go. It couldn't be any easier. The only thing that the clerks need is whatever kind of direct deposit information you have at whatever bank, credit union, financial institution that you use. They're just going to need the routing number. It's real simple. The pay scale was, a lot different. I went through in 2013. So unfortunately, a lot of the information that I knew is not very relevant to today. But from what I'm understanding, everyone hires on as a CO3. Okay, I did a very comprehensive video about the CO pay scale and the pay increase that corrections officers received. I'll link that down below. Check that video out. It'll answer a lot of questions. But one of the ones that is quite relevant, if an individual is a veteran from the military, meaning that they served at least 2 years, they were honorably discharged, they have their DD-214, or if they have a bachelor's degree from an accredited college, university, they can come in as a CO4, okay? And that pay scale starts at $3,776.91. That pay scale will continue to increase for the next 73 months. I know that's a long time, right? 12, 24, 36, 48, 62, 7, for the next 6 years, okay? You'll continue to advance until you reach CO5, which tops out at $4,278.80 a month. That's not a whole lot, but it's something, okay? What else do we got? Minimum hiring requirements. I get asked that quite a bit. You need to be at least 18 years old, okay? And you have to have some kind of diploma, either a high school diploma or the GED, all right? That's it. That's really all you need, at least as far as the educational requirements. You do have to have some form of state-issued or government-issued ID, a driver's license. I don't know what the other kind of IDs are. I've always had a driver's license. And you need a copy of your Social Security card. Not the original card, but your Social Security card. What else did I write down? Oh, and also, if you're a male between the ages of 18 and 25, you have to have registered for the Selective Service. That's the entity that if war breaks out, it allows the government to recall individuals and bring them into armed service. To my knowledge, it hasn't been used since the Vietnam War, since we're an all-volunteer. However, males are still required to register. If you don't register, there are certain federal benefits that you can be denied. Now, I remember when I hired on, I ran into a weird situation with it. I was well over the age of 25, by the time I applied. I think I was actually, it doesn't matter how old I was. I know I was older than 25. So I was curious, since I'm over 25, do I still need to provide proof of this? So I went to the website, typed in my information, and it gives you a link where you can print out your card. I did print out the card. I brought it with me to my interview process. I'm sorry. I didn't need it because I was over 25. I didn't have to show that I had registered for it. So I guess if you're over 25, maybe nowadays you don't need to show proof of it. I did it anyway. All right. Pause for hydration. I know, right? It's that kind of a day, every day. So I got I got asked to talk about the interview process. Okay. I'm understanding that the current interview process is worlds of difference than what it was when I did mine. Okay. When I did mine, I filled out all of my applications, and I'm about to do that right here on my handy laptop for you guys. I filled out all of my applications by hand. Okay. I printed them off, just like you do from any other kind of computer. Printed them off, mailed them off, waited, got a reply back, and we had to do a pre-screening. For the pre-screening, I went to the LeBlanc State Jail, Beaumont, Texas. All right. I went not near dressed like this. I went business casual. All right. Looking like you would for a job interview that you want. Got to the facility, got patted down to go into it, showed ID, went back into the area. There were a big group of us applying, and we met with a recruiter. Now, this wasn't your typical recruiter, like a military recruiter who was there to take your phone calls. That was the only time that I ever met with that individual. All right. She explained the process to us, checked all of our paperwork, everything was in order, and then we had to take a test. It was a memory test. We were shown 3 pieces of paper. On each piece of paper, there was 3 pieces of paper that had pictures on it. All right. The one that I remember the most was a line of inmates and corrections officers on horses that were escorting these inmates. And you had to stare at these pictures for 5 minutes and commit them to memory as best you could. Once those 5 minutes were up, she collected the papers from us and passed out our test. And it asked questions. How many corrections officers were on horseback? There were 2 of them, from what I remember. There were 2 of them that were on horseback. There was 1 that was on foot. How many corrections officers were wearing hats? How many inmates were wearing jackets? There was only like 2 inmates in the entire line of it. And you just had to answer those questions. This test was timed. I don't remember how much time it was. I think it took me not even 5 minutes to answer the test. And then you turned it in. Once you turned it in, you sat back down. You had to wait the full duration for the time there. In the meantime, the recruiter was grading the tests. And once all the time was up, she called up everybody that had passed it. I think there weren't many that didn't pass that. And they actually got to retake it after we got done with our process. All right. So once we had passed it, she called us up individually by name, and she gave us a time to report back to her. I was supposed to come back around 45 minutes. All right. I went down the road, got me a sandwich from the gas station. It was a raceway in Beaumont, Texas. Got me a sandwich from the gas station, gave some pretty bad heartburn. Ate that, hung out, went back to the facility, got there a little bit early, met with her. I still had all my paperwork with me, brought that to her, and she asked a couple of generic questions. What do I expect that a corrections officer does in the state of Texas? Why do I want to be a corrections officer? What do I hope to get out of being a corrections officer? Very, very, very generic questions. Okay. They weren't really yes or no, right or wrong questions. They were more like aptitude kind of questions. You can't get it wrong. It just tells about yourself and, why do you want to work corrections? I think probably the only wrong answer would be so I can smuggle contraband into the facilities or so I can help an inmate escape. If you say those 2 things, you're probably going to get denied right there on the spot. But any other answer that you give, pretty much, I want to work for the state of Texas, I need a paycheck. Cool. Check, you're hired. All right. From there, the waiting game continued. After that, I got a letter in the mail. I understand everything's done email-wise nowadays. Got a letter in the mail about when I was to report to the academy. A very generic list of what to bring. In fact, I've done a comprehensive video. I'll link that one down below as well about what to bring for your first day in the academy. And it took off from there. So it couldn't have been, easier. It was just kind of long and drawn out because of the paper trail back then, which so much of it is all electronically right now. And I'm about to get to that. What was another question? Are you allowed to have beards? Okay. Initially, I said no, but on their website, there's a recruitment video and there's different pictures of corrections officers. And I've seen two individuals, both, that did have beards. They were trimmed, manicured, not ZZ Top type. So I guess they are allowed nowadays. Then again, a lot of the COs in these videos that I saw, they also had masks on. So it was during COVID. I'm sure that was an absolute miserable time. I don't know what the current policy is for masks. That's going to be very unit specific. Someone asks, can you work if you take certain medications, blood pressure medicine? I'm fairly certain you can. I don't see how that would be a hindrance as long as it's medicine that controls whatever you have going on. I don't see how that would be any kind of a game changer. Again, that would be something to list in your application. And then the human resources there at Huntsville that review all the applications, they could take that from there. Someone asked about, is working at TDC the same as working with juvenile offenders? No, absolutely not. TYC, Texas Youth Commission. That's where offenders go that are not classified as adults. An adult is somebody that is 17, or someone who's not adult in Texas is 17 years and 364 days. Once they hit day one of their 18th birthday, they're considered an adult at that point. TYC is for individuals between 14 and 17, and there is absolutely nothing whatsoever in the world that you could offer me that would make me work there. Nothing whatsoever. I would never, ever, absolutely ever, under any conditions, work with juvenile offenders. Yeah, bad, just bad. Smart mouth, little ass punks that you can't just backhand for doing. No, there's no way I would ever work in the juvenile area. For those that want to reform juveniles, heart goes out to you. Shout out. Let me know how that goes. Much love to you. Juveniles ain't for me. Shout out to those that can. So I hope that answers a lot of the questions. That's pretty much the big majority that I've gotten right there. They tend to repeat themselves. You do get a big chunk of your pay taken out for the benefits. Again, I hired on 9 years ago. Okay, so the pay scale was a lot different back then. It's a lot different now. I'd say you could expect at least $500 to come out if you take the full benefits package. That's typically what I had taken out. Plus, I had deductions taken out for the commissary. I think I had I increased it once I went to the actual commissary. I think I started at like $10 a month. And then I want to say I increased it to $15 once I got there because the commissary was a really good thing. You could basically shop while you were at work and you didn't have to worry about trying to go to the grocery store in your off time. So let's talk about how easy it is to apply. You guys excuse me, I've got my laptop right here. Now, unfortunately, it is going to reflect off my glasses, so I'm going to try to minimize that as best I can, but it couldn't be any easier. All right, let's get started with it. Let's go to Google. Let's go to TDCJ website. There's a link right here that says Career Opportunities. We're going to click on Apply Now. All right, and it brings up to a screen right here. Complete State of Texas application for employment. It's just a generic application. I've already filled it out. It's all of your information, where you live, references, okay? Complete the TDCJ Employment Application Supplement. That is just simply, it pretty much repeats itself like the state of Texas one, except it's a little bit more TDCJ specific. There's one for nurses, there's one for state troopers, there's one for teachers, okay? So it mirrors that one. The third one that you fill out is going to be the Statement of Availability, the PERS 282B. This is the one where you talk about where you want to work. There are areas of interest. They go from 1 through 20, all right? And it's different, you could say counties, areas, so to speak, in the area. We got Panhandle right here, Lubbock, West Texas, and then within that there's areas. For instance, I applied at number 12, Southeast Texas. Within that you have Beaumont, okay? And then you can apply at Gist, LeBlanc, Stiles, and then there's Dayton, where you have Henley, Hightower, and Plain. It also lists whether or not the units are 8 hours or 12-hour units. So for instance, in Southeast Texas, Beaumont, Gist is 8.5 hours, LeBlanc, 8 hours, 45 minutes, and then Stiles, 12 hours. And it does that throughout. You got Beeville, San Antonio, Galveston, okay, all that. You can list 2 preferences that you want to work. So let's say I live in Beaumont. I could check number 12, and I could check number 12 is Southeast Texas, 13 is the Houston area, all right? And then within each of the 2 areas, I can select a total of 3 for those preferences. So for Southeast Texas, I would pick, where'd it go? Southeast Texas, I would pick Gist, LeBlanc, Stiles. For the Houston area, let's say I'd pick Clemens, Keegan's, and Lyncher, okay? You fill that out, sign it, and then you attach it. And then all you got to do is you got to take your IDs, your driver's license, your state issued ID, a copy of your DD-214, a copy of your diploma, what else? I think that was about, if you are between 18 and 25, your selective service, okay? Open up your email, whichever kind of email you use. I simply use Outlook. And then the website, the email address, CO number 4TX at tdcj.texas.gov. Type that in. Okay, boom, open it up. Attach those files. Attach the State of Texas application, supplement, statement of availability, all the pictures of the IDs. These are all going in as attachments. And then subject, applying for corrections officer for State of Texas. Make a body of it. To whom this concerns. Attached are my TDCJ, Texas Department of Criminal Justice applications. Very respectfully, Jesse Carter. And click send. Done. Set that down. That's all there is to apply for the state of Texas. The TDCJ corrections officer position. Now, I didn't actually have my email pulled up. I didn't actually have the browser and everything. However, it's that easy. You can do it all electronically, or you can print everything out, you can fill it out, and you can mail it in. There's a actual physical address listed below the digital address, and you can mail that to Huntsville. All right, if that's easier for somebody, great. That's what I did. However, it's going to take a lot longer. From that, you'll get contacted by somebody. I'm told the interview process, I think maybe because of COVID, it's done by phone now. Instead of going to an actual unit, like I had to do the pre-screening. At one point, that pre-screening was removed for veterans and for college graduates. I think the pre-screening might be removed altogether, and everything's done over the phone. You'll get a phone call from the recruiter. They'll ask you some very generic questions, and then that's it. You're set up. You're good to go. All you got to do at that point is decide what's the closest unit to where you live, and do you want to work a 12-hour shift or 8-hour 45 minutes? A couple of people have asked about some disqualifiers. Okay, it's listed on their website. If you have any kind of felony, permanently disqualified. If you have a Class A misdemeanor, it has to have been at least 10 years ago. If you have a Class B misdemeanor, it has to be within 3 years ago. No form of convicted domestic violence. And it used to be at the time if you were related to an individual incarcerated. Example, I'm going to work for Styles. Uncle Pookie Bear is incarcerated there. I could not accept employment at that facility if I had somebody that was related there. All right. Conflict of interest. Someone asked, are COs allowed to date each other? Yes. Yes, you can have relationships with other corrections officers. You can't date inmates. You can't do sexual favors for inmates. Inmates can't do favors for you. That should go without saying. However, one of the biggest causes of CO walk-offs, at least during my time there, was CO to inmate relationships, and it was rampant. So don't date inmates, okay? Folks, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I hope everyone enjoyed this video. I hope this was informative. If you have more questions that I can't answer, please feel free. Just remember that my time was 9 years ago. I may not have the best and most up-to-date info. However, I can tell you about how it was when I was there. Everyone take care, stay safe. Carter's out.